Okay. We'll turn the camera on that laptop when we get it. I'm Greg, by the way. Brittany? Brand?
Okay, I think, are we just about ready to start, Greg?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, if everyone, Kylie is just on her way back to the computer, so it'll be just 1 second. We're almost there. Thank you for your patience.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me, Julie?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Hybrid meetings, don't you love them? Okay, well, welcome to the 2023 through 2026 Transportation Improvement Program public meeting, September 21st. And you probably all got a little reminder that this is being recorded. It'll also be posted to the srtc.org website after for sharing. And we'll have the guest speakers presentations up there as well. After each.
Yeah, sounds good.
There we go. After each presentation, we'll have a little time for a question and answer. If you're online, you can use the chat function. You can raise your hand or just unmute. If you prefer to email us, you can email your comments, questions to contact.srtc@srtc.org. And for folks that are in the room, there's a sign-in sheet. Please remember to sign in. And there's also public comment sheets if you'd like to write your comment and leave it with us. There are bathroom codes. Men's restroom is down the hall to your right, and men's is down the hall to your left, and women's is down the right. Or opposite. You'll figure it out. Okay, just a quick review of the agenda today. I'm going to share just a brief overview of the 4-year TIP program. Then we'll have Inga from the City of Spokane talk about Pacific Avenue Greenway project. We'll have Brandy from Spokane County talk about a couple of different TIP projects. And then we'll have Rob from Spokane Valley talk about the Trent Sullivan reconstruction interchange and the Barker corridor. And then we'll be concluding at 1. It's kind of a quick meeting today. So I'll just jump right in. So what is the Transportation Improvement Program? It is a 4-year program of regional transportation projects, and it includes all types of projects. So bike and pedestrian, roadway projects, bridge projects, and all transportation projects that receive federal funding or that are regionally significant are required to be in the TIP. We update this 4-year program every year. So this year is 23 through 26. Next year will be 24 through 27. And after this 4-year program is approved, it'll be part of the Washington State Transportation Improvement Program. So where do the projects come from that are in this 4-year program, this TIP? They come from the Washington State Department of Transportation. They come from local agencies, so City of Spokane, Spokane County, any projects that are, again, receiving federal funds or regionally significant, we'll pull those into the SRTC 4-year Transportation Improvement Program. STA, Spokane Transit Authority, also has their own project selection process. And so those projects come in that are programmed through FTA will also be part of our TIP. And then we have up at the top there in blue, our SRTC project selection. And we actually just went through a call for projects, so I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we, as an MPO, SRTC distributes some federal funds to projects throughout our region as well. So you'll see those in the Transportation Improvement Program. So as an MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, SRTC must ensure that projects are consistent with our Metropolitan Transportation Plan Horizon 2045, our congestion mitigation process, and our safe and complete streets checklist. So there are certain things that we're looking for when these projects come to us to be part of the TIP we need to make sure that they're also consistent with other regional plans. They're meeting air quality, conformity, policies and plans. And we oversee a portion of the federal funds that are assigned to projects in the TIP, as I mentioned. And so for those, we must demonstrate fiscal constraint, or in other words, we have the expected revenue for the projects that are being planned, designed, or constructed. So in this 4-year program, there's a total of 87 projects, coming out to about approximately a little over $1 billion. So 32 of those projects are managed by SRTC. So that's those federal funds that we distribute is around 50 million in that 4-year program. So just to put this in context, our last cycle, our 22 through 25 TIP, consisted of 85 projects and about $740 million. So you can see local agencies have been working hard to secure funding for projects throughout the region this past year. So you can see a list here. We've broken down all 87 projects by project type. Of course, some projects are, both a bicycle and pedestrian project along with a reconstruction project. So we only give them one category. So you can kind of just see the breakdown. The North Spokane Corridor obviously is a large project in this transportation improvement program. There's quite a bit in high performance transit as well, coming through FTA and Spokane Transit. And you can see, the other safety projects, other transit, preservation and planning projects are all listed there. We do have a map hosted on our srtc.org. If you want to zoom in and click on these projects, you can learn a little bit more about them, like when they start, when construct, the different phases and that kind of thing. There's 18 new projects that are coming into this 23 through 26 TIP. As I mentioned, SRTC recently had a call for project in which we awarded funding to 16 different projects. Some of those projects were brought into the current year, so our 22 through 25, so that they could access funding this year. So you may not see them on this list, but they are new. So we have a couple smaller jurisdictions that were awarded funding for their projects: Deer Park, Medical Lake, a couple of county projects, Spokane Valley, Spokane Transit, and some WashDOT projects. City of Spokane projects have all been amended into the 22 through 25 TIP, so you won't see them on this list. Quick rundown of this timeline. We'll submit all 87 projects to WashDOT mid-October. They'll spend the rest of the year processing these projects, and then the funding will become available beginning mid-January to those agencies. They'll be able to access that funding, and it'll become part of the statewide transportation improvement program. As far as public engagement, there's several ways that you can be involved or reach out. Today is one of those days. If we don't get to your comment in the chat or what have you, we will record that comment and post it in our appendices. At the back of the document, we'll note your comment and we'll provide a response at that time. There's still an open public comment period until October 1st. So please submit your comments, questions, and we'd be happy to get back to you. We've used general outreach through SRTC's outlined in SRTC's public participation plan. That includes, just how we advertise, where we post, the, meeting invitation and that kind of thing, social media, the press release and legal notices and more. And now I will pass it off to our guest speakers. We'll start with Inga Note from the City of Spokane to share her screen and talk about Pacific Avenue Greenway. Let me stop sharing. Make sure you have sharing capabilities, Inga. Perfect. Looks good.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Inga Note. I am a traffic engineer with the City of Spokane. And I'm just going to be talking about one of our projects, which is the Pacific Avenue Greenway. This is a project that's been part of our bike plan for a little while. It was originally identified just as a bicycle route, and more recently was upgraded to be a neighborhood greenway, which means it gets a higher level of treatment to make it more accessible to all ages and abilities. And so that's what our application applied for, was to install that level of treatment on this corridor. The route is intended to provide a parallel route to Sprague and 2nd and 3rd to get from kind of the core of downtown over to the South University District. And so when I say South University District, I'm mainly referring to the area that's on the south side of the railroad tracks, because that creates a very large barrier between the U District and the area to the south. So on the east end, this corridor ties into Sherman Avenue, which has bike lanes that lead up to the U District Bridge and provide that northbound route for people coming off the South Hill who might be commuting into the U District or vice versa. It'll have a nice connection there. And then on the west end, it crosses the Division Brown couplet, which is a bit of a barrier for non-motorized users right now, and takes you into the more of the core of downtown to access some of the other routes there. So I'll show you some of the details of that here in the next couple slides. One of the main reasons for the application here was we've had a collision pattern at Division and Brown, or Division and Pacific and Brown and Pacific, that we want to correct. And in working with WashDOT, have decided that the best way to address that is going to be through the installation of signals at those two locations. We have a very high number of pedestrians who cross there. And once we get the signals in, we do expect that we'll get an increase in the bike traffic as well, as that will become the most attractive route for them to get back and forth. And I actually have these out of order. I'm going to go to this one first. This is the slide that shows the signalized intersections. The west side is Brown and Pacific. So we would install a signal with bike lanes just on the approaches to it to channelize the non-motorized traffic, and then leading into bike lanes that continue between the couplet for 2 blocks. On the west side of Brown and on the east side of Division, it will be more of a neighborhood greenway type treatment where the bikes are traveling in a shared lane and will not have the separate bike lane. On the west end, this is on Pacific, west of Brown, where we go through the intersections with McClellan, Bernard, and Washington. It's also going to be a shared lane configuration. We'll have some bump outs, we'll have sharrows, we'll have wayfinding. It'll be a fairly low intensive treatment in this area, mostly just showing riders the best way to go through these streets as they're fairly low volume. We will probably have some kind of a crossing treatment at Washington, which is not shown on this image. And then from there, west of Washington, the route follows the alleys for 2 blocks over to make that connection to Howard, where we have existing bike lanes. So then on the east side of Division, we have a pretty wide street there on Pacific. And so the idea there is to bring the intersection corners in, provide a shorter crossing distance, and make it so that cyclists are a little bit more visible as they enter the intersection, and try to channelize the parking so that we don't get parking encroachment on that view triangle as they enter the intersection. There may be other treatments that we come up with as this moves forward, but this is the base idea. that we're planning to implement. So Kylie, that's all I have. I'm open to take questions.
Yeah. Any questions for Inga about this Pacific Avenue Greenway project? All right, hearing none, we'll move to our next speaker, which is Brandy from the Spokane County. Get her project loaded up here. We're trying this hybrid thing. Good afternoon, I'm Brandy Collier. I'm the Capital Programs Manager. for-
Start video, and then they can see you because it closes camera off with the presentation.
I don't see start video. I see it up there. Let's see. Oh, so wait, they can't see this one.
You can see you. They should be able to see the screen too.
Okay. Pardon my technical difficulties here. So I'm Brandy Collier. I'm the Capital Program Manager for Spokane County. And today I was just going to give you a brief update of a few of our projects that we have in the tip for construction this next year. Working on your end.
Yeah.
Now if I know.
Page down.
Is it not sharing? Okay. So one of our first projects that's going to go into construction next year will be our 57th Avenue and Freya Street roundabout project. So this project does provide for improving that intersection from a stop condition on Freya to 57th with a roundabout. It will provide for safety improvements by reducing the number of conflict points that are participate in some of those more serious injury accidents, as well as providing for stormwater facility, signage, illumination at that intersection. This project was awarded congestion management air quality funds through SRTC a few years ago, and this project aims to reduce the emissions at that intersection by reducing the stop traffic conditions on Freya by up to 500 minutes per day. Our schedule for this project will be to go out to add December, with construction starting early spring and then being open to traffic in the fall of next year, if not sooner. So this area does generate a lot of pedestrian as well as vehicular traffic for that area. It's a multi-use area with businesses as well as schools, churches, community center, and all those things. So I think I'll just take questions at the end. Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna go to about the same time frame as the Freya 57th project, we'll be working on getting our Bigelow Gulch Phase 2 project out. This project will be the completion of the last phase of our corridor project, an 8-mile long corridor that connects the city of Spokane to the city of Spokane Valley, provides for a completely new alignment. As you can see up, I'm not sure which mouse shows up for everybody. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that, but this is the connection for our Bigelow project 3 that was just completed last year. But the new phase will continue on and connect in with this previous early excavation work that was done near Palmer Road as part of the project for Forker Bigelow intersection. So that will be our next phase next year, and it will include the construction of 2 lanes each direction, or applying corners at Palmer Orchard, so that if you know that area, those we have a number of crashes and fatalities in those locations, which do shut down the road, as well as
Oh.
okay. So yeah, we do have issues with those, and so this should reduce those, as well as provide traffic time reduction for the corridor, and complete that project that we've been working on for a number of years. It includes stream realignment, environmental mitigation, including a wetland mitigation offsite over on the West Plains at the Fish Lake Trail. Next slide, which will show. There we go. Which shows our funding partners as well as our schedule for this project. The project is estimated at about $15.6 million for the total with all the phases. We did recently submit a grant for freight program, which we were awarded this last summer, which finalized our investments into the project, allowing us to move forward with construction this next year. And so that's exciting for us, being as this is the last phase of the corridor. As you can see on the left side here, we did receive a few investments through SRTC of federal dollars and safety funds with the state, which were fairly early dollars in, which did allow us to help submit for those federal grants, additional federal freight grants. So we appreciate that support. And then the schedule for that will be to go out for construction in early spring, as well as constructing through the construction season, and then with some optimism completing in the fall. The final project I was going to talk to you guys about today is the Harvard Road Reconstruction Project. This project is a project funded strictly through National Highway System funds. It only allows us to reconstruct the existing roadway itself, which is the 2 11-foot lanes. This picture here shows the intersection at Wellesley. As you can see, the road is in disrepair. It doesn't have good structure. It doesn't have good pavement anymore. And so we will be replacing that this next year. This south and north of this intersection shown, there's areas where it doesn't have the 1-foot shoulder provided in that typical section. So it'll just be replacing what is there at about $2.6 million for the whole package of the project, with a late spring advertisement, summer construction. Pardon me. We do hope this project will go at a similar time frame as our Otis Orchard project, which is safety money that's through the state, as that project is along the Otis Orchard Elementary School area, will include ramp updates as well as crossings. This project is phase 1 of a full Harvard reconstruction project that Kylie explained earlier was just recently funded by SRTC. That project has been started, the PE, but it's not ready to proceed yet at the same time frame as the funding commitments for the NHS project. So unfortunately, we won't be ready to put these projects out at the same time frame. So phase 2 will move forward in a few years after finalization of the design, as well as acquisition of the right-of-way needed. So this project will include widening the roadway to 12-foot lanes, providing 6-foot shoulders on each side, as well as stormwater drainage and the shared use pathway through the area from Euclid to Trent. And then this This slide shows those typical sections that are anticipated for that area, as well as just to note that the intersections of Euclid and Wellesley will have intersection improvements, lighting, signing, and those opportunities when we move forward with that project. So we're looking at most likely 2025 before we can proceed with that project. So those are the only projects I had slides for, but I'm happy to take questions on any of our projects in the tip. I'll let you back out of this.
We'll get the room set up a little differently here and invite our next speaker. If anyone has questions for Brandy or Inga, you can reach out to us for their contact information. You can see Brandy's. Maybe you can't see it anymore. We can share those contacts with you, or we can take comments and pass them over to them as well. So. We're set up to make sure that we are on the right screen. Then,
Stuck on the PowerPoint. Well, maybe that's.
yeah, do you want to just stop or bring up the Zoom? And now we're going to hear from Rob from the City of Spokane Valley. Rob, just give us 1 second. We're in
Sure.
here in the room trying to get our, oh, there we go.
Hopefully everyone can see the presentation or the slideshow.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we can see it in presentation, or we can see it in
This is-
your notes mode. You want to
Really?
swap.
That sounds complicated.
Yeah, we can try, yeah, maybe try that.
Huh.
If you go down to the bottom, sometimes, yeah, there's a button to just, or actually up at the top, there's display settings. Be able to just
Nope.
swap your screens there. There you go. Swap, yeah, perfect. There we go.
Good. Okay.
Great.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. No worries.
Good afternoon. My name is Rob Blockmiller. I'm one of the senior engineers with the City of Spokane Valley. I'm going to kind of give you guys an update on 2 of the projects that we have going with Spokane Valley that I'm managing. The first project is our Sullivan Trent Interchange project. This basically reconstructs the existing diamond interchange at these 2 roads. One of them, Trent Avenue, which is a state route, 290. The project's located in the kind of northeast quadrant of Spokane Valley. Sullivan Road's north-south road you see there in the circle, and Trent is the east-west. Just south of Trent is a major industrial area basically from Trent to I-90. It serves the Spokane Park, the Sullivan Park Industrial Park, and also Kaiser plant is also located there. And then along Trent is kind of a commercial corridor with a lot of residential to the north. Some of the existing conditions for Sullivan Road, it's currently a 4-lane bridge over Trent. Has one shared through left turn and through lane in each direction, so there's no left turn pockets. There's 2 signals on each side of that bridge that serves the on and off ramps to east and westbound Trent. And the Sullivan Bridge has actually substandard clearance over Trent. It's been hit several times through its life, 6 in the last 10, and it's hit quite often. We put a lot of warning signs, advanced signing in advance, and it still gets hit. Also, the on-ramps onto Trent are very short and provide traffic restrictions. There's also another bridge that's over BNSF. It's just south of the interchange. This bridge would also have to be replaced in order to raise the Sullivan bridges over Trent. And BNSF is also looking at double tracking. And so there's some preference on their part to make that a little bit longer so they could house two train tracks and possibly future. As far as traffic conditions go, the proximity of the two ramps really make it difficult to time, and there's no left turn pockets. So it's we're already experiencing, bad level of service at the signals. We're in the C and D, or actually C to E categories already, and we're expecting them to fail in 2030 at become a level service app. So that's kind of the main reason this project is going forward, is we need to look at these traffic conditions and make some improvements to help that. Also, just to the north, the Bigelow Gulch Phase 6 project is getting close to wrapping up, and that moves a lot of that, or actually moves the the traffic that was going down Bigelow Gulch and connects to Sullivan. So we expect even more traffic on Sullivan. So at the end of 2021, we started looking at alternatives. We're going to go through an intersection control evaluation that's needed with WSDOT, since we're making modifications to the intersection and interchange. We started with 6 conceptual ideas, and then working with WSDOT and their traffic engineers, we did eliminate 2. And so we're moving forward, going through a basis of design statuses for those 4 alternatives, which I'll talk to you about. Part of the evaluation process, we're looking, first, does it solve our traffic problems, and then also looking at what other impacts they have, and trying to evaluate and to find out the preferred alternatives. These are just some of the items and the matrices we're looking at to evaluate these alternatives. So the first alternative is just a standard signalized diamond interchange, basically what it is now. It will, the main difference here is that we need to widen Sullivan to 7 lanes to add all the left turn pockets needed for the turn movements onto Trent. This one, I guess I missed talking about the traffic analysis. We did a traffic analysis for all 4 alternatives to kind of evaluate where they are now. This one anticipates we can be a C level service in 2030. So this is kind of our lower scoring one. Alternative 2 is a diamond interchange with a peanut roundabout. This is similar to the alternative 1, but instead of using signals, we use well, I guess a double peanut roundabout that serves all the turning movements. And this one has scored really well as far as level of service goes. The third one is what we call a diverging diamond interchange. This kind of helps with traffic as far as eliminating signalized left turn and right turns, where you have traffic actually cross to the other side of traffic and then back. And like I said, it eliminates the left and right turn movement conflicts with what you have with a typical signal. And the fourth alternative is what we're calling a jug handle. It basically has 2 roundabouts, one on Trent, what provides the access up to Sullivan, and then the roundabout up on Sullivan to serve that movement. It's kind of a little different. It did score really well in level of service, and it actually is our lowest cost alternative. As far as funding goes, the project's estimated at 35 to 43, depending on the alternatives. Like I said, the alternative 4 was the lowest scoring one at 35. The other 3 are right around the $42–43 million estimated costs. City has received some grant funding from National Highway Funding Program and SRTC to carry the alternative selection into a final design of the preferred alternative. And the city's actively pursuing additional funds to acquire the right-of-way and construction costs for the project. As far as where we are currently right now, next steps, we've kind of gone through the cost estimates. We've laid out the alternatives. We're going through the matrices and evaluating each one. Our next step is kind of hold a public meeting coming in October, get the public's input on what they believe would be the preferred alternative. And with that input, we hope to go to council later this year to select the preferred alternative and then start beginning the final design of the preferred alternative in 2023. I guess, should I open up for questions for this project
Yeah,
first?
let's
Or?
do that, Rob, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Out of the alternatives, we know, like of the four, we know that obviously this area is a lot of freight. Is there one that's particularly better for freight trucks, just the size of the vehicle, over the others? I'm just curious if there's any differentiation there.
As part of the outreach, we'll be talking to the trucking industry. Each of the alternatives will be designed to house a large truck turning movement, so we don't think that's any concern. I guess based on previous experience, truckers like the signals and not have to maneuver roundabouts. So but as you guys may know, that we're also putting roundabouts east and west of this project at Pines and Barker, and I think we're getting some good support from the trucking industry for roundabouts now.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions in the chat? Charles, got anything?
I drive on Trent quite a lot, so it looks like it's gonna be open, so.
Yeah, Trent will be open. Looks like it, for at least most of the time. Okay, thanks, Rob.
Yeah, let me.
You have one more presentation, right? Or-
Yeah.
Apologies if you can hear any construction in the background. Hopefully it's tuned out. If not, we can mute ourselves. Greg, why don't you leave the conference room?
I don't think we'll be able to hear him.
All right. Hopefully everyone can see this next slideshow.
It looks like we'll need a swap presenter view again. There we go. Perfect.
There we go.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So our next project is the South Barker corridor. Basically reconstructs Barker Road from South City limits to Appleway Boulevard. The project locations in the southeast quadrant of the city, from Appleway down to the city limits. Like I said, it's a residential area. There's been a considerable amount of growth in the city limits and south in the county jurisdiction. Appleway Avenue is a pretty heavy commercialized area. As far as existing conditions go, Sullivan is a 2-lane road, basically no shoulder. Existing intersections, Appleway is signalized. At the intersection of Sprague, it was just recently a four-way stop. The city just completed and constructed a roundabout there, and that just opened in the end of August. And then at 4th and 8th, there's side street stops. Some of the level of service at Sprague before the roundabout was at a level E and was estimated to be a level F at 2040. Right now at 4th and 8th, it's level C. Side streets are having real difficulty trying to get out on Barker, and it's estimated to be a level D by 2040. Some of the improvements that we are recommending on this corridor, like I said, the roundabout at Sprague and Barker, which is just finished, widening Barker to a 3-lane road the entire distance, and then widening it up to 5 lanes up at the intersection at Appleway Boulevard. We anticipate Barker from Appleway to I-90 will eventually be a 5-lane road. Then also construct roundabouts at 4th and 8th intersections. So this is our typical proposed section. It's, currently right-of-ways are out 60 to 60 feet In order to construct all these improvements and move utilities to behind the sidewalks, we need a 70 feet length. So we'll be acquiring, 5 feet, additional 5 feet of property from all the property owners along the stretch. As funding goes, some of those prices are the construction costs of the remaining sections. 7.2 for the whole widening of the roadway, and then 2.6 to 3 million for the 2 roundabouts at 8th and 4th. Currently, the city's using developer impact fees to start the design and environmental process of the entire corridor. We recently received $3 million from the Congressional Direct Spending Award, and then also over $1 million from the SRT to fund the Appleway to Sprague segment. And next steps, we're pretty close at nailing down the preliminary design of the roadway. And since with the federal funds that will be funding right away in construction, we're going to have to go through the NEPA process, and that's our kind of the next step we're going to go through. Once we have NEPA completed, then we can start pursuing right away purchases. Is there any questions on Barker?
Any questions? Park corridor. Well, thank you, Rob.
All right, thank you.
If we do get any questions, I'll pass them along to you.
Sounds great.
And it looks like we're done a little bit early today. So please enjoy the rest of your 15 minutes. Feel free to stick around for a few minutes if anyone wants to just pop on with questions. Julie will stop recording at this time, and we'll post this to the srtc.org website.